Roque Santa Cruz was a revelation in the 2007-08 season after arriving at Blackburn from Bayern Munich for just £3.5 million. Despite injury setbacks earlier in his career, he hit the ground running in England, scoring 19 Premier League goals and adding 3 assists in his debut campaign. He combined clinical finishing with a graceful aerial presence and quickly became one of the league's most feared strikers. His standout moment came with a hat-trick against Wigan, cementing his status as Blackburn's starman and player of the season. He finished as the league's 4th top scorer, behind CR7, Fernando Torres, and Emmanuel Adebayor. But that one magical season was as good as it got. After a £17.5 million move to newly rich Man City, those injuries returned and form deserted him. He scored just 3 league goals in 4 seasons at City, spending much of his time out on loan. Though he had a long career afterwards, mostly back in South America, he never again reached the heights of that unforgettable season at Ewood Park. Benjani's 2007-08 season at Portsmouth came out of nowhere. After a quiet start in English football, he exploded in his 3rd season, scoring 12 Premier League goals by January, including a stunning hat-trick against Derby and a memorable winner at Old Trafford. His hard-running style, powerful build, and tireless work ethic made him a fan favourite at Fratton Park. At one point, he was among the league's top scorers, earning him a surprise deadline day move to Manchester City. But Benjani's peak was short-lived. At City, he never truly found his feet, scoring just 4 goals in 2 full Premier League seasons. Injuries and squad competition limited his minutes, and he was eventually loaned out before fading into obscurity. Despite his short run of form, that half-season surge at Portsmouth remains one of the most unexpected and memorable in Premier League history, a true one-season wonder that no one predicted. Adnan Januzaj burst onto the scene in 2013-14 as Manchester United's next great hope. At just 18 years old, he announced himself with a stunning brace on his full debut against Sunderland, a performance that instantly made headlines and had fans and pundits calling him the club's next star player. His dribbling, vision and composure seemed beyond his years. That season, Januzaj made 27 league appearances, often the brightest spark in a struggling United side during David Moyes' doomed season following the retirement of Sir Alex. But the promise never materialized. With managerial changes and tactical reshuffles, Januzaj fell down the pecking order under Louis van Gaal. He was sent on unsuccessful loans to Dortmund and Sunderland, where he failed to impress. Eventually, he left United for Real Sociedad, where he rebuilt his career but never hit the stardom once expected. His first season remains the only one where he looked truly destined for greatness. Amr Zaki took the Premier League by storm in the first half of the 2008-09 season. On loan from Egyptian side Zamalek, Zaki scored 10 goals in his first 16 league appearances for Wigan, including a spectacular overhead kick against Liverpool at Anfield. His strength, directness, and poacher's instinct made him one of the hottest strikers in England by Christmas. Steve Bruce called him one of the best finishers he'd ever worked with. But the magic disappeared just as quickly. Zaki failed to score another league goal for the rest of the season. Off the pitch, things unraveled. His commitment was questioned after repeatedly returning late from international duty, frustrating the coaching staff. Wigan opted not to sign him permanently, and his career quickly declined. After brief, unsuccessful stints at Hull and back in Egypt, Zaki faded from the spotlight. A classic case of early promise undone by attitude and inconsistency. Marcus Stewart's 2001 campaign is one of the Premier League's most surprising success stories. At 28, and in his first ever top-flight season, Stewart fired newly promoted Ipswich Town to a remarkable 5th-place finish, scoring 19 league goals, more than Thierry Henry or Michael Owen that year. His intelligent movement, calm finishing, and composure in big games made him the season's ultimate underdog threat. But that season turned out to be his only top-tier peak. The following year, Ipswich struggled badly and were relegated, with Stewart managing just 6 league goals. He remained with the club in the Championship before moving around the lower leagues with Sunderland, Bristol City, and Exeter. Though he was a consistent scorer outside the Premier League, he never again reached the heights of that stunning debut season in the top flight. Once hailed as the next Messi at Barcelona, Bojan finally found his Premier League moment at Stoke City during the 2014-15 season. Under Mark Hughes, Stoke adopted a more expansive style, and Bojan thrived as a creative force. Playing as a central attacking midfielder, he scored 5 goals in 16 Premier League matches, including a stunning strike against Tottenham. For the first time in years, he looked confident, composed, and like the elite talent he was once predicted to become. But in January 2015, disaster struck. A serious knee injury in an FA Cup match cut his season short. Though he returned the next year, he was never quite the same player. Inconsistent form, loan spells, and recurring fitness issues plagued his time in England. Bojan eventually left Stoke in 2019, and while he continued to play across various leagues, he never recaptured that brief period of brilliance, though he remains a hero in Stoke-on-Trent. Papiss Cisse produced one of the most explosive half-seasons in Premier League history. Arriving at Newcastle in January 2012 from Freiburg, he hit the ground running with an astonishing 13 goals in just 14 league appearances. His form helped push Newcastle to a 5th-place finish and European qualification. His goals included some stunners, most notably an outrageous, outside-of-the-foot volley against Chelsea, widely considered one of the Premier League's greatest goals. But that blistering start proved to be the peak. Over the next 4 seasons, Cisse struggled with injuries, inconsistency, and Newcastle's changing tactics. He never scored more than 11 league goals in a full season again. Despite flashes of brilliance, he couldn't recapture that incredible debut run. He eventually left for China in 2016 before continuing his career in Turkey. Cisse remains a cult hero at St. James's Park, remembered best for a few months of unstoppable, world-class finishing. Odion Ighalo lit up the Premier League in Watford's first season back in the top flight. Partnering with Troy Deeney, Ighalo scored 14 league goals before the end of January 2016, terrorizing defenders with his sharp movement, quick turns, and clinical finishing. His standout performance came in a brace against Liverpool, showcasing his composure under pressure. For a while, he looked like one of the league's most dangerous strikers. But then, almost overnight, the goals stopped. Ighalo managed just one more league goal in the second half of the season and struggled throughout the next campaign. Defenders began to figure him out, and his confidence fell through the floor. He eventually moved to the Chinese Super League in 2017. In a bizarre twist, he returned to England in 2020 with a short-term loan at Manchester United, where he played mostly in cup competitions. He looked more like a competition winner than a serious signing though. Mido enjoyed his finest Premier League spell during the 2005-06 season with Spurs. After joining on loan from Roma, the Egyptian striker quickly established himself as a reliable target man, finishing the season with 11 Premier League goals. His physical presence, aerial strength, and fiery personality gave Spurs a focal point in attack, and he played a key role in helping the club push for a top-4 finish. Impressed, Spurs signed him permanently, but that was as good as it got. Injuries, fitness issues, and off-field controversies began to pile up. He clashed with managers, lost form, and became a journeyman across clubs like Middlesbrough, Wigan, and West Ham. His early potential, once seen at Ajax and Marseille, was never fully realized. Though his Premier League career fizzled, that one sharp season at White Hart Lane remains a glimpse of what could have been. Saido Berahino's rise was as rapid as his fall. In the 2014-15 season, the 21-year-old forward scored 14 Premier League goals for West Brom, finishing as the club's top scorer and earning an England call-up. His blend of pace, composure, and sharp finishing had top clubs circling, most notably Spurs, who made multiple bids in the following transfer window. But West Brom refused to sell, and things unraveled quickly. Berahino's form dipped, and public disputes with the club's ownership affected his performances. He failed to score a single league goal the following season and eventually joined Stoke City in 2017, where his struggles continued, going over 2 years without a league goal. Off-field issues, including fitness concerns and disciplinary problems, further stalled his career. From testing positive for MDMA to drunk driving convictions, it's another classic story of talent squandered. He was last seen playing in the Slovenian second division. Wilfried Bony was unstoppable in the 2013-14 season, scoring 16 Premier League goals in his debut campaign for Swansea City, more than any other player in the calendar year of 2014. Signed from Vitesse, Bony brought strength, hold-up play and lethal finishing to the Swans' attack. His consistency and physical presence made him one of the league's most reliable strikers, drawing attention from bigger clubs. That attention led to a £28 million move to Manchester City in January 2015, but Bony never found his rhythm there. Limited minutes, fierce competition and a lack of tactical fit saw his output drop sharply. He managed just 6 league goals in 2 full seasons at City. A return to Swansea followed, but he was a shadow of his former self. Injuries and loss of form plagued his later years, making his breakout campaign at Swansea a brief but brilliant high point that was never matched. Michu's 2012-13 season remains one of the Premier League's greatest one-season wonder stories, maybe the greatest. Signed for just £2 million from Rayo Vallecano, the Spanish midfielder shocked everyone by scoring 18 league goals in his debut campaign, the most ever by a foreign Premier League debutant at the time. Playing in an advanced role under Michael Laudrup, Michu's intelligent movement and ice-cold finishing helped Swansea to a mid-table finish and a League Cup triumph, where he also found the net at Wembley. But injuries quickly derailed his career. The following season, he managed just 2 league goals, struggling with chronic ankle problems. A loan move to Napoli didn't reignite his form, and he was eventually released by Swansea. Michu retired early at just 31, later admitting he played through pain for much of his career. That first season remains iconic, a mix of bargain brilliance and tragic brevity that Premier League fans still remember fondly. Michael Ricketts enjoyed a meteoric rise during the 2001-02 Premier League season with Bolton Wanderers. After helping the club gain promotion, Ricketts took the top flight by storm, scoring 15 league goals before February, including winners against Manchester United and Liverpool. His physicality and knack for poaching goals even earned him an England cap in February 2002, a remarkable feat for a player in his first Premier League campaign. But almost as quickly as he rose, Ricketts disappeared. He didn't score another goal that season and netted just 6 more in the rest of his Premier League career. Fitness issues and rumours of attitude problems plagued his time at subsequent clubs like Middlesbrough and Leeds. He gradually slipped down the leagues and retired without ever recapturing that early magic. Ricketts remains one of the most dramatic examples of a striker who burned brightly, but only for a short moment. Andy Johnson had a phenomenal 2004-05 season with Crystal Palace, scoring 21 Premier League goals, second only to Thierry Henry. A tireless runner and expert penalty taker, Johnson's relentless energy and willingness to chase every lost cause made him a nightmare for defenders. His goals gave newly promoted Palace a fighting chance of survival, and earned him a call-up to the England squad. Despite his heroics, Palace were relegated on the final day of the season. Johnson stayed for 1 more year in the Championship, continuing to score freely, before securing a move to Everton in 2006. Though he had a solid spell there, he never hit the same prolific form at the top level again. Injuries and a more physical style of play eventually wore him down. Still, that lone Premier League season with Palace remains the defining peak of his career, a tireless underdog with a clinical edge. Asamoah Gyan arrived at Sunderland in 2010 as a record signing and fresh off a standout World Cup with Ghana. He made an immediate impact in the Premier League, scoring 10 goals in his debut season and forming an effective partnership with Darren Bent. Gyan's flair, powerful running, and lively personality made him a fan favourite at the Stadium of Light. He was unpredictable and entertaining, a rare combination during a rather dull and pragmatic era in Sunderland. But just as fans began to envision him as the club's long-term star, he abruptly left. Less than a year later, Gyan shocked many by moving on loan to Al Ain in the UAE, a move motivated largely by financial incentives. He never returned to European top-flight football, instead spending most of his remaining career in the Middle East and Asia. Gyan's Premier League stint was brief but brilliant, a glimpse of stardom cut short by the allure of cold hard cash. Robinho's arrival at Manchester City in 2008 marked a turning point in the club's history. Signed from Real Madrid on deadline day for a British record fee, he was City's first true superstar of the new era. He made an instant impression, scoring 14 Premier League goals in his debut season and dazzling fans with his flair and skill. His creativity and swagger brought global attention to a club still on the rise. But his impact faded fast. Robinho struggled with the league's physicality and was often criticized for his inconsistency, especially away from home. His second season saw him score just once, before returning to Brazil. While he continued playing elsewhere, his legacy has since been overshadowed by serious off-field issues and legal consequences tied to a grape he committed. Today, his name is remembered as much for controversy as it is for that brief Premier League brilliance. Benni McCarthy made an instant impact in his first Premier League season with Blackburn Rovers, scoring 18 league goals and finishing as the second highest scorer behind Didier Drogba. Signed from Porto, the South African striker brought a mix of composure, experience, and clinical finishing to a Blackburn side that was pushing for European football. His standout performance included a brace against Liverpool and consistent goals throughout the campaign. However, McCarthy struggled to maintain that level. Over the next 2 seasons, his form dipped significantly, and fitness became an issue. He eventually moved to West Ham, where he failed to score a single goal and was eventually released, famously fined for failing to meet fitness targets. Though he had a decorated career in Europe, especially in Portugal, his Premier League success was brief. That first season at Ewood Park stands out as his only truly prolific chapter in English football. Jon Stead was just 20 years old when he burst onto the Premier League scene with Blackburn in 2004. Signed from Huddersfield Town mid-season, the young striker scored 6 goals in 13 league appearances, including crucial winners against Middlesbrough and Fulham, helping Blackburn avoid relegation. His confidence, clever movement, and poise in front of goal sparked hopes he could become a long-term star. But that early promise quickly faded. The following season, Stead managed just 2 league goals, struggling to adapt as defenders figured him out. A move to Sunderland didn't reignite his form, and he soon began a journeyman career through the lower divisions. While he enjoyed a long career in the Football League, he never again made a significant impact in the Premier League. Stead remains a classic one-season wonder, a bright, youthful spark that flickered briefly before settling into a steady, if unspectacular career. Mikael Forssell had a sensational 2003-04 season while on loan at Birmingham City from Chelsea. The Finnish striker scored 17 Premier League goals, combining sharp instincts with cool finishing to become one of the league's surprise top scorers. His partnership with Clinton Morrison helped Birmingham to a solid mid-table finish, and it looked like Forssell had finally found his level after struggling for minutes at Chelsea. Unfortunately, that season proved to be his peak. A series of serious knee injuries followed, including one that ruled him out for nearly an entire season. Though he later joined Birmingham permanently, he never reached double figures again in the Premier League. He eventually moved to Germany and later returned to Finland, but his early momentum was never recovered. Forsell's time in England is remembered for that one brilliant season, a reminder of how quickly injuries can derail even the most promising careers. DJ Campbell's rise to the Premier League was anything but conventional, from non-league football to the top flight in just a few years. His moment came in the 2010-11 season with newly promoted Blackpool, where he scored 13 Premier League goals. Quick, instinctive, and tireless, Campbell was a constant threat, thriving in Ian Holloway's fearless attacking setup. He netted braces against Sunderland and Wolves and became Blackpool's top scorer as they battled bravely against relegation. Despite his efforts, Blackpool went down on the final day. Campbell earned a move to QPR, but he never replicated his form, managing just one league goal in the seasons that followed. Injuries and a lack of consistency saw him fade into the lower leagues, and a betting investigation later clouded his career. Still, that single Premier League season remains a high point, a gritty underdog story that briefly turned Campbell into a top-flight star. Fabrizio Ravanelli arrived at Middlesbrough in 1996 as one of the most high-profile signings in Premier League history. Fresh off winning the Champions League with Juventus, the Italian striker made an instant impact, scoring a hat-trick on his league debut against Liverpool. He finished the season with 16 Premier League goals and 31 in all competitions, a remarkable return that helped put Middlesbrough on the map. But his time in England was turbulent. Ravanelli clashed with managers, criticised the club publicly, and reportedly struggled to adapt to life in the northeast. Despite his individual brilliance, Borough were relegated at the end of the season, and Ravanelli left after just 1 year. While he continued playing at top clubs across Europe, his Premier League stint was short, fiery, and unforgettable. Ravanelli's single season combined elite talent, controversy, and drama, everything a one-season wonder should be. Nikica Jelavic arrived at Everton from Rangers in January 2012 and made an immediate impact. The Croatian striker scored 9 goals in just 13 Premier League appearances, showcasing clinical finishing, sharp movement, and a natural striker's instinct. He quickly became a fan favourite at Goodison Park and looked like a bargain signing. His standout moment came with a brace against Manchester United, capping off a blistering run that helped Everton finish the season strong. Expectations were high heading into the next campaign, but Jelavic never lived up to them. His form dipped sharply, scoring just 7 league goals in 37 games the following season. Defenders seemed to figure him out, and confidence visibly waned. He was eventually sold to Hull City, where he had a few decent performances but never recaptured his Everton peak. Jelavic remains a textbook one-season wonder, electric for a moment, but never able to sustain it. Andrey Arshavin joined Arsenal in January 2009 following a stellar Euro 2008 with Russia, and he hit the ground running. In just 12 Premier League appearances, he scored 6 goals and provided several assists, instantly becoming one of the league's most exciting players. His most iconic moment came at Anfield, where he scored all 4 of Arsenal's goals in a thrilling 4-4 draw against Liverpool, a performance that cemented his place in Premier League folklore. But Arshavin's impact faded quickly. Despite flashes of brilliance, he struggled with fitness, consistency, and adapting to the physical demands of English football. Over the next few seasons, he became increasingly peripheral under Arsene Wenger and eventually returned to Zenit St. Petersburg. While his career continued elsewhere, he never again hit the heights of his initial Arsenal spell. That dazzling half-season remains the high point, a brief flash of genius that never fully blossomed. Stephen Ireland's 2008-09 season with Manchester City was nothing short of outstanding. Operating as a box-to-box midfielder, he scored 9 goals and provided 9 assists in the Premier League, becoming City's player of the season and one of the most creative midfielders in the league. His vision, timing, and work rate stood out in a City team still building toward future dominance. At just 22, Ireland looked destined to be a long-term star at the heart of their midfield. But that season turned out to be a one-off. With the arrival of new signings under City's growing financial power, Ireland fell out of favour. Injuries, inconsistent form, and questions about his professionalism followed him to Aston Villa, where he never truly settled. Short spells at Stoke and Bolton offered little revival. Despite his early promise, Ireland's career faded quickly, making that single brilliant campaign feel like a glimpse of what might have been.